Happy birthday, America. Today is July 4th, and I'm celebrating it the only way that makes sense, another ranking video. And today, I'm going to be ranking every name that signed the Declaration of Independence by how much aura they had. And trust me, these names get really strange. Disclaimer, I'm not ranking the actual person. I am ranking their names. So don't get mad at me if I say that a ruthless slave owner has ultimate aura. However, I am putting how famous their name is into consideration. So more famous names will probably be higher up than lesser known ones. And that brings us right into our criteria. There are 3 criteria that I am basing this list off of. How iconic they are, how well they sound out loud, and how strange they are. I'm going to list these names from best to worst, so make sure to stay until the end, because these names get absurdly goofy. I'm not using your basic ABC letter ranking system. I'm using a custom-made tier list that consists of 5 categories. Ultimate aura, pretty cool, basic, kinda weird, and goofy. So what are we waiting for? Let's get right into it. So we are starting off with the ultimate aura category. These names are the names that just radiate aura in almost every aspect. Most of these names are just iconic or have great namesakes, so let's get right into it. In the number 1 spot, we have John Hancock. And I feel like it just makes sense putting John Hancock first. He is definitely the first name you see if you look at the Declaration of Independence. This guy made his signature the largest out of all of them, so the king didn't even have to put on his glasses to read his name. I mean, this is just aura farming in its finest form right here. And moving on, we have Charles Carroll of Carrollton. And this name is probably one most of you guys haven't heard of, but he definitely deserves the number 2 spot. Bro added of Carrollton to the end of his name just to show off the fact that he has a town named after him. He was also just a great guy in general. I know I'm not ranking the actual person, but I'm just gonna give it a few facts about him because he's pretty awesome. He was a Roman Catholic, and he had 1 wife with a respectable 7 children. Also, he was the richest man in America in his prime. You could say he had a whole bunch of Franklins. Who is our next name? Benjamin Franklin. Sick transition, am I right? Now we're getting into the more iconic names that you guys probably recognize. I mean, when you're the face of the most recognizable dollar bill, the hundo, it only makes sense if you're in the top 3. Speaking of $100 bills, you should help me get those by liking and subscribing. Samuel Adams. You may be wondering why I put Samuel Adams above the only 2 presidents on this list. And the answer to that is actually quite simple. He's the namesake for this drink. I'm not going to say the name of the drink because I don't know how YouTube will respond to that. Yeah, but that's basically the only reason. So on to our next ones. John Adams and Thomas Jefferson. I'm putting them both together because they both have the same reason. The fact that they both became presidents. I think that the presidency gives them the necessary aura to obtain the 5th and 6th spots. And I put Adams above Jefferson just because Adams was president first, and I gotta give him credit for that. Carter Braxton. Now pretty much the rest of these names you'll see will be mostly unfamiliar to you all and lack the iconicness of the previous name. We are starting off strong with Carter Braxton. I just thought that he sounded like some sort of villain, and it's just a smooth name in general. Also, this guy was a player. He had 2 wives and a whopping 18 children. Bro got busy. That founding father Riz just increased his aura by so much. William Hooper. This is the last name on the ultimate aura section, and literally the only reason I included William was because his last name is Hooper. I mean, this guy is just so ahead of his time. He could have been the coldest basketball player ever. Well, maybe not. And that about wraps up our ultimate aura section of this video. It only gets goofier from here. Now before we get into the next section of the video, I'd just like to say I put so much time and work into this video. I wrote an actual script. I think I'm gonna spend a lot of time editing this, try to sharpen up my editing skills, because the last video, let's just say it was not my best work. But this one's gonna be better, so make sure to just subscribe and leave a like, please, because I need it. Thank you. The names in the pretty cool category were names that really didn't radiate as much aura as the same way that the previous ones did, but they were still good enough to talk about. Most of these just roll off the tongue well, or just unusual in a cool way. I'm gonna give each of these guys a sentence of commentary, unlike the Ultimate Aura guys who I gave about a paragraph to. And let's just get right into it. Our first five are George Wythe, Lyman Hall, Thomas Lynch Jr., William Floyd, and George Clymer. And I put all these guys together because they all have the same reason. They have a Y in the middle of their name. You don't usually see the Y at the middle, you usually see it at the end of the first or last name. Like if your name was like Henry or something, you got the Y at the last name, that's basic. But then you got names like Lyman Hall, like Lyman, like never heard of that. The Y is in the middle of the name, you don't see that a lot. So that's like the only reason I put these top five in the top five of the pretty cool section. And fun fact, Thomas Lynch Jr., youngest person to sign the Declaration of Independence at 26 years old. Our next two, I also put together Benjamin Rush and Samuel Chase, and I just put them together because they're both names that are very swift, if you know what I mean. All right, we're getting on to our next one now. Richard Henry Lee. I gave him bonus points for including that extra name. And I feel like the whole name just rolls off the tongue so well. I know it's like a basic name, but still, it just sounds cool. Next name, Abraham Clark. This one was really bordering basic, but I think it's just a smooth name, so I had to give it a little bit of credit. All right, we're getting into the most boring part of the video, the basic category. These names are just the most insignificant names of the bunch, and I'm just gonna list them off for you because I don't really feel like giving a sentence of commentary for these guys. Like, it's just, they all have the same reason. They're basic. They're in the basic category. And I didn't even attempt to put them in any sort of order. These are just random order. So I'm just going to list them off. Maybe I'll speed it up like in the end of those commercials or whatever where they list like the symptoms. So I'm just going to list them off now. James Wilson, George Walton, George Taylor, Thomas Stone, George Ross, Richard Stockton, James Smith, Roger Sherman, George Reed, John Penn, Thomas Nelson Jr., John Morton, Robert Morris, Lewis Morris, Thomas McKean, Philip Livingston, Francis Lewis, Francis Hopkinson, Stephen Hopkins, Thomas Hayward Jr., Joseph Hughes, John Hart, Benjamin Harrison, Matthew Thornton, and Samuel Huntington. Out of all of these names, I award the most basic name to James Smith because if I walked through any American city, within 20 minutes, I would find a James Smith because it is just the most basic American name ever. And that wraps up our basic category. All right, at this section of the video, these names are starting to get real strange because in the kind of weird section, these are the names that I thought were fairly unusual, but not flat out goofy. I'll give a sentence for a few of them, but some of them are pretty self-explanatory. Arthur Middleton. This one was just kind of funny to me. John Witherspoon. Almost the same reason. Like, I feel like the name Witherspoon is actually kind of normal nowadays. We got a few famous people named Witherspoon. But it's just still funny to say Witherspoon. All right, next one. William Ellery. For some reason, I had a really hard time pronouncing this name, so I just put it here in spite. I hate you, William. On to our next William. William Pekka. Again, this one, really funny to me. Pekka, funny last name. Hosea Bartlett. This name is really choppy to say and does not roll off the tongue well at all. And I could think of a million names better than Hosea to go with the name Bartlett. Like, I don't know what their parents were thinking. Oliver Wolcott. The only reason I put on this sheet of paper, this script I have here, is that Wolcott is an unusual last name. That's literally all I put. So I guess Oliver Wolcott goes here. Next up, our last one, the goofiest of the kind of weird bunch, is Edward Rutledge. And it just sounds kind of gross, like Rutledge. I don't know. But that wraps up our kind of weird section. On to our next section. Now in the goofy section, these names are probably the silliest names I've ever heard. And as I was reading the list on the website that showed all the names, I thought the website was straight trolling me with these names because they're just so absurd. And we're gonna get right into it with our first one is Caesar Rodney. Yeah, this is the least goofy of the bunch. And I still can't believe someone in the 1700s was named Caesar. I mean, I thought that Caesar guy was kind of outdated by 1776. And not only does he have a goofy first name, the last name Rodney just does not go well with Caesar at all. Elbridge Jerry. I don't know who names their kid Elbridge. And I did a little digging on the name. Maybe it means something cool, but it doesn't. It doesn't mean something cool at all. Actually, the name Elbridge means old bridge. Like, imagine being named after an old bridge. Like, what does that even mean? Is there any symbolism there? I don't know. And also, just look at this guy's portrait photo. I mean, this man is just trying to aura farm. It is not working. He looks like that one guy from that one meme.
Calm down, partner.
Why you on your knees?
Get down, boy. Get down.
Our next one, Francis Lightfoot Lee. I don't know. What is this Lord of the Rings odd name? Like, buddy, you could have just gone by Francis Lee. You did not have to add Lightfoot into there. It's totally unnecessary. He sounds like he would be one of Santa's elves or something. I I have to give him credit. It is a pretty whimsical name, Lightfoot. It's just super weird. It's goofy. That's why it's in the goofy section. Robert Treat Payne, and you gotta be kidding me with this one, bro. Robert Treat Payne. This man was born to be a doctor, but of course, he was a lawyer like 75% of the people in this video. But luckily, he wasn't like the other 25% who are mostly plantation owners. And I know for sure his parents knew what they were doing with this name, making Treat his middle name. Like, come on. They totally snuck that in there. We're getting into the bottom three now. And this name is just so funny to me. William Williams. Like, why did bro's parents think it was a good idea to name him William when their last name is Williams? You could have picked literally anything else. Maybe not Elbridge, I don't know. And it would have been a good name. This guy's dad was for sure the redundant scribe of redundantness.
You know what I hate about the unclimbable mountain of unclimbableness? Just to get there, you have to cross the uncrossable river of uncrossableness.
Who named all these things?
That guy over there, the redundant scribe of redundantness.
Hi there. Greetings.
Our bottom two spot goes to William Whipple. This name is just the definition of goofy. Whipple is just a silly Billy name. And they had to go and add William to his name to make it an alliteration. And names that are alliterations are just so stupid to me. Like, they all come straight out of a fairy tale. William Whipple is definitely some sort of whimsical wizard that jumps out of a bush and gives you a side quest. Like, these are just the facts. And our number one spot, the moment we have all been waiting for, goes to the name Button Gwinnett. It was a tough decision on deciding who the goofiest name is, but I feel like I made the right choice with Button Gwinnett. The reason behind it is because both his first and his last name are just super goofy. Like, what makes Button a good name? Like, there's literally no meaning behind it other than it's just stupid. And I did a little research on the name Button. I like to do research sometimes. Maybe it means something cool like I did with Elbridge. But literally, all I found, it's French, and it was most likely used to describe the baby's nose. Like, come on now. Describing their nose out of everything you could have named him, you decided to name him after his nose. Like, this has inspired me to name my first son Schnoz, because that's basically the English equivalent. And I tried finding some redeeming information about this guy, but I literally found nothing cool about him. Like, at least William Whipple freed his slaves like a Chad, but Button Gwinnett didn't do nothing. And yeah, that's the end of the video. I'd like to thank you all for sticking with this video until the very end. I really appreciate it. This one was a fun one to make, also really tiring because it's my first video where I'm actually trying real hard to make it a good video. So enjoy your July 4th. I know I will. Please consider subscribing and cue the outro.